Composable, to break it down, and you could easily would be into two sort of main technologies, which is Picasso and Mantis. Um, I'd say Picasso is a more interesting one right now since we have products live and launching new ecosystems soon. So Picasso consists of an IBC hub. So this is a chain that's dedicated to connecting IBC to new ecosystems. Previously, IBC has only been available in the Cosmos world, and our team is the first team to take it into production to Polkadot, and we're launching on Ethereum and Solana soon.
Welcome to Into the Forest with Pine. Today I'm here with Jaff from Composable Finance. Jaff, can you kind of start off telling us about what Composable Finance is and giving us a little overview of the Composable Finance ecosystem?
Yeah, absolutely. So Composable, to break it down, and you could easily would be into two sort of main technologies, which is Picasso and Mantis. I'd say Picasso is a more interesting one right now since we have products live and launching new ecosystems soon. So Picasso consists of an IBC hub. So this is a chain that's dedicated to connecting IBC to new ecosystems. Previously, IBC has only been available in the Cosmos world, and our team is the first team to take it into production to Polkadot, and we're launching on Ethereum and Solana soon. It also has, I'd
Awesome.
say, the generalized restaking layer. So we recently published docs about that, and that's an interesting one as well. We can touch up on that later.
Yeah, awesome. Can you kind of start off talking a little bit about how you guys kind of go about implementing IBC on chains like Ethereum or Solana or other chains that are not necessarily like IBC enabled to start with?
Yeah, so at its core, IBC is based on light client bridging. It has a set of standard rules, and it allows for cross-chain messaging for not just token transfers, but also arbitrary message passing. So cross-chain contracts essentially can be executed over this. The way we've gone about it is we've built an IBC stack for each ecosystem that there is. So for example, in Polkadot, we have Pallet IBC. We also have a Tendermint Lite client that we have for parachains, and we built a light client of the Polkadot consensus for Cosmos chains. So we have our Cosmos chain sort of in the mid as an intermediary chain between our parachain and other Cosmos chains, and this Cosmos chain is also an intermediary between Ethereum and other Cosmos chains, and also Solana and other Cosmos chains too. So the idea is that it would be technically difficult for every Cosmos chain to support IBC to these new ecosystems instantly, and having a chain in the middle also allows this to bring IBC to new ecosystems in production a lot faster.
Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I can go into each ecosystem like in specific if you want. With Solana, we sort of have a restaking model. So Solana lacks this thing called state proof. So basically, being able to prove what the state of your chain is at the time. And this is necessary for IBC for client updates. So we've built a restaking layer, and it's sort of like a guest blockchain inside Solana that can provide state proofs for connecting IBC to our Cosmos chain. So other than that, there's the Solana Lite client that we've developed and making the hyperspace relay Solana compatible. Those are like the three big things at a high level. With Ethereum, we have the Altair Lite client. It can be argued that because it's not the entire validator set of Ethereum that's being synced, sort of. So the Altair Lite client relies on around 500 validators every 24 hours it's changed randomly, and we use those signatures to verify Ethereum state on our Cosmos chain. So normally when you're connecting two chains via IBC, you're taking into account all the signatures of the Cosmos chain, right? But with Ethereum, there's just way too many validators, and it can be argued it's not a light client because of that, but it's still the most secure option than the current existing bridges out there.
Okay, totally makes sense. So, like, speaking of the current bridges out there, there's like, I guess currently some of the popular methods to go cross chain between ecosystems would be something like Axelar, Layer Zero's more EVM stuff. But like, how do you guys kind of see the benefits of using your platform over like existing, or maybe Wormhole, like over existing cross ecosystem bridges?
So I guess the benefits of using our bridge is the benefits of using IBC, because we're implementing IBC as the bridging standard. And previous bridging, to dumb it down, you're essentially trusting the bridge provider in some way, either through a multi-sig, either through off-chain relays and oracles, and mainly just centralization from these factors, right? But with IBC, you're trusting the chains that you're bridging from and to. So let's say you're like Osmosis to Cosmos Hub, right? When somebody's using an IBC to bridge from their Atom to Osmosis, they're not exactly trusting anyone to send their Atom to Osmosis. You're trusting the chains that are being bridged to and from, right? So that's the main difference. It's more, I guess, all about decentralization and being able to move your funds in a secure way. So security is sort of the key.
Okay, that makes sense. So from what I understand, the Picasso chain is secured by Kusama. Like, could you kind of explain to the audience like the difference between having your chain be a parachain on Polkadot versus being like a traditional IBC chain?
Mm-hmm. So we're actually going through a whole rebrand, which will help with like breaking down all the components that we have. So Picasso is the Kusama chain. This connects to the Polkadot world, the Kusama world, and we also have a Cosmos chain. So this Cosmos chain is known as Composable, but it's going to be renamed Picasso. Maybe by the time this is released, it's already renamed to Picasso. So Picasso is a regular Cosmos SDK chain. It's the only chain that uses IBCRS in production, and actually don't quote me on that part, but it's the only one that is using the Wasm client in production and connecting to a non-Cosmos chain. So this is secured by Pika, which is also the native token of our Kusama parachain. And we also have a composable chain on Polkadot, but this is sort of going to be, a lot of things will come out in the rebranding. I don't know when this is going to be released, so I'll just say keep an eye on the announcements. So we've got some exciting updates on that front. But yeah, essentially, Picasso stands as a layer 1 Cosmos SDK chain, which acts as an IBC and cross-chain restaking hub. That would be sort of, yeah.
Could you kind of talk about how people can kind of get involved with restaking and kind of like the risks and kind of opportunities that come with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess the main risk is slashing. Probably that's the only one. So it's easier for me to speak about the benefits because there are a lot more benefits than risks. So with restaking, we've started in the Solana ecosystem. So our plan is to launch restaking vaults on Solana, Ethereum, and also our Cosmos chain to accept Cosmos ecosystem assets. But right now, users can go to games.mantis.app and restake their Sol and other Solana LSTs in the Solana ecosystem to earn yield based on bridging fees that are used between Solana and Cosmos. So, I mean, one thing to note is that bridging fees hasn't really been shared with the community. I mean, you'll see a lot of talk these days about fee sharing. Uniswap's recent proposal, it's spiked up a lot. Our whole goal has always been to share bridging fees with the community. We've been doing this for a few months now. We've managed to share a good amount with Pika stakers. So the goal is once you have IBC between Ethereum, Cosmos, and Solana, bridging fees can be shared from all these different ecosystems to Pika stakers. And a portion of the Solana bridging fees will also go to restakers. So these are the ones that are securing the AVS for Solana IBC on Solana. So think of EigenLayer that was restaking on Ethereum for ETH LSTs. Our goal is to essentially launch a restaking layer on our Cosmos chain, but aggregate assets and LSTs from different chains. So Solana ecosystem LSTs, Cosmos ecosystem LSTs like ST-TIA, Milk-TIA, ST-DYDX, ST-Atom. Essentially all these LSTs that can provide an additional use case to securing AVSs and also earning extra yield for their users.
Okay, that makes sense. For like an ecosystem like Solana, I know that they don't really have like active slashing. Would that mean that like the risk of like slashing is like slim to none for like restaking in that context?
So basically the AVS is the one that is slashing in this case. So the AVS in this case would be our guest chain on Solana. So imagine just like an actual blockchain which acts as an AVS for the restaking layer. So this AVS has its own parameters and slashing set. So whatever the AVS sets, so whatever the guest blockchain sets as slashing will be the only risk. I mean, initially when we launch, we don't plan to have slashing, but it will be added at a later time.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's like an additional group of requirements to make sure that people kind of follow those rules.
Yeah, it's the AVS sort of sets slashing parameters.
Okay. Could you talk to me a little bit about kind of how governance works on the Pika chain and kind of how you guys kind of do that?
Yeah, I mean, so it works as standard Cosmos chains do. We have a Commonwealth forum. We haven't really been using it as much, but we plan to use it a lot more in the near future. So far, the governance has mainly been used for chain upgrades, parameter changes, etc. But in the future, so when we launch our bridge from Ethereum to Cosmos, you would need to go through governance to whitelist an asset between Ethereum and Cosmos, just so we don't get spammed by random people minting some meme coin and sending zero value to Ethereum and back, just wasting gas fees, I guess. But I'd say the core use is that, and also we have a large treasury, so users are able to go there, seek proposals for funding, for like marketing and growth incentives.
Okay, that makes sense. So I've seen you guys have made like either partnerships or announcements with like different projects such as like Orca or something like that. So kind of how do you guys see like the cross chain like out like further than bridging, like more like cross chain like projects and stuff like that? How do you guys kind of see the future of that sort of stuff playing out? Like where do you see like the major benefits coming in with like cross chain applications?
Yeah, so the collaboration with Orca is actually in respective to the restaking layer. So I mentioned that we accept LSTs right now, but in the future we plan to also accept receipt tokens from protocols like Orca. We have Solend C tokens live, Camino, and essentially any protocol that implements receipt tokens, we would look to accept it into the restaking layer. So imagine you're LPing on Orca, like Sol USDC or Sol Cheeto Sol or something like that, right? And now you have an LP token which consists of the value that you've deposited into the pool. What if you can restake this LP token to secure an AVS? So that's the whole goal with Orca and other protocols like this. This feature will actually be brought into Ethereum Osmosis 2. So let's say you have Curve LP tokens or even a Convex receipt token. You could essentially deposit this into the restaking layer and provide value and security to an AVS. So it's an additional avenue for yield for DeFi users. But sorry, I sort of diverted off the question there. Cross-chain DeFi. The way we want to sort of implement cross-chain DeFi is via Mantis. So this is where you can restake now on the app. It's essentially a intense focus protocol where users can go in and it would allow smooth brains to just use applications on different chains. So let's say you're on Cosmos or you're on Solana and you don't exactly want to have to bridge your tokens to Solana by WIF and bridge it back just so you can have exposure to the token. Because then this would basically consist of creating a new wallet for the Solana ecosystem, bridging to and from, and making a swap. So what if you can aggregate all these user interaction into one interface? So that's what we plan to do with Mantis. And all the cross-chain communication will be carried out over IBC. So Picasso sort of acts as the infrastructure layer, connecting these different ecosystems, and Mantis is sort of the abstraction layer of execution and Picasso together. So
okay, that makes sense.
We plan to launch this with swaps in H1. So you can imagine somebody's on Ethereum or Solana or Osmosis and they want to do a cross-chain swap with a completely different ecosystem. So they could go to Orca or Jupiter from their Cosmos chain. Vice versa, they could go to like Uniswap or Curve from their Cosmos chain or even Solana. So yeah, that's sort of how we see cross-chain DeFi.
So just cutting out like all the creation of wallets and kind of extra clicks and stuff like that. So it's like one smooth process.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So kind of what are you guys kind of like looking forward to and what's kind of on the horizon for you guys?
Okay, so I'd say the main two things that we're looking forward to in the when this gets released is the launch of IBC on Solana and IBC on Ethereum. So our last major launch would probably be restaking on Solana, so opening the restaking vaults in January. But before that, we hadn't launched a bridge since maybe July of last year. So we've had two different bridging teams sort of working on IBC on Ethereum and IBC on Solana. So it's around 8 to 9 months of development, which is now coming into fruition for users and also developers. And that's the most exciting thing, especially because Solana is, well, not just Solana, essentially everything's going up. We're getting a lot more users. So it's an exciting time just because the bridge is coming out at it's like the perfect time, essentially. Beyond that,
okay, yeah,
I would say restaking vaults on different chains. So we already have restaking vaults on Solana, but would also launch restaking vaults on Cosmos for the Cosmos ecosystem assets, restaking vaults on Ethereum also for ETH, LSTs, and receipt tokens in that chain. And then finally, I would say Mantis is definitely the sort of key thing. So this is the chain abstraction product that I was talking about. We plan to launch an MVP with cross-chain swaps between Cosmos and Solana, probably around April, May. So yeah, that would be an interesting one. But this is just the
Yeah,
near
that would be
future.
really exciting.
We've sort of got like the next 12 months of Mantis scheduled, but yeah, I think a lot of people have been waiting for Ethereum and Solana IBC. So I'm glad that we're the team that's able to push that into production.
Yeah, Solana will be a big deal because like there's not a lot of other like products kind of doing that. Can you kind of talk a little bit about yourself and kind of how you kind of got involved in the crypto space and like kind of what led you to working at Composable Finance?
Yeah. I would say I got into crypto end of 2020, so it was like a perfect time because early 2021 is when everything started pumping, you could say. Before that, I was always interested in crypto because I studied as a university module. I just didn't invest at the time, but if I did, it would have been a different story. So I was working in the foreign exchange world, money remittances between different countries, especially large transactions, and there was a huge demand for crypto transactions cross borders, intra borders, and the UX of just sending money via crypto and sending money via the Web2 world was like vastly different and different in a good way for crypto. So this technology wasn't really known to anybody I knew, right? I mean, back in the day, you had like Bitcoin machines all over London. Um, I wouldn't say all over, but like once every few miles. And a lot of people would just have a negative stigma and it's used for drugs, etc. Um, but when I sort of started using crypto myself and I just started playing with DeFi, that was how I got into crypto. Just go on an application, try it out, download a wallet for a different ecosystem. You know, that's actually how I judge which ecosystem is the most interesting. It's like if if this ecosystem is attracting me to create a whole new wallet and bridge funds there, that's what made me learn more. Essentially, it started off with Ethereum, never left, but yeah.
Well, that's really cool. Thank you for coming on. I think this was a great talk.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.